So we're going to start talking about polynomials today. So we've actually already talked about this first section at the very beginning of the semester, but we're going to talk about how to add and subtract polynomials. And so first off, what we're going to start with is I'm going to use some algebra tiles just kind of to show what I'm doing here. So these large squares we're going to say represent an x squared. The small rods are going to represent an x, and the small squares are going to represent a 1, okay? So keep that in mind as we work through the problem, okay? So we're going to start here with this first problem, which is 3 plus 3x squared plus 2x, okay? Each of these are polynomials added to 2x plus 4 plus x squared, all right? So what we're going to do here is we are going to kind of model this. So this first one, we have 3x squared, so that's going to be 3 of these, okay, and I'm just going to kind of show it on this piece of paper at first. And then there's 2 x's, and so that's going to be 2 of these rods, and 3 of the smaller ones, 1, 2, 3, okay, and we're going to add that to 1 x squared, so that's one big one, 2 of the smaller ones, okay, that's 2x, and then 4 of the singles. So here we have 1, 2, 3, and 4, okay? And so this is all of it combined. And so when we go to add these together, we had 3, we added 1, so that's going to be a total of 4, and I'm just going to kind of move them off the page as we count them, okay? And I'm going to redraw that. So we had the 3x squared, the 2x, and the 3 small ones, okay? And then over here we had the 1x squared, the 2 x's, and the 4 small ones, okay? And so when we added those 3 big red ones and the last one, we ended up with 4. So that's 4x squared. Okay, and it might help just to write it in here. This is an x squared, 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 and when you add them together, you end up with 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, okay? And then we had 2 x's down here, an x and an x, and another 2 over here, another x and an x. So when you add those together, you end up with 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm going to move those away. We've taken care of those now. Okay, and then we have 3 of these singles. So 1, 2, 3. There's 3 of those. And 1, 2, 3, 4 of those for a total of 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those. Okay, and so what we've done here is we have added those two polynomials together, okay? And so when we add them together, we have 1, 2, 3, 4x squared. We have 4 x's, and we have 7 total individuals. And so that is how we would combine these, okay? And so what happens is all that we've done here is combined like terms, which is something you're actually very familiar with. And so that's something that you should be comfortable with. You should know from previous examples that we've done in class together. And so, and you've done that since you were probably in 7th and 8th grade. So we're just combining like terms. That's what adding and subtracting polynomials really is. It's just combining like terms, okay? So we're going to show another example. This time we're going to be subtracting, okay? So we'll go with our model again. And so I'm going to draw it out first and then kind of grab our pieces. So 3x squared, that's going to be 3 of the big ones. And so here I've got 3 of these big ones. And I know it's kind of off the page, but you'll still be able to kind of see what we're doing here. Okay, and then I have 5 x's. So that's 5 of these, and I'll go ahead and label them as I go. So that's going to be 5 of these, 4 and 5. Okay, and then I need 9 of the individuals. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. And so then I've got 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so I've got all my pieces here laid out. And we're going to subtract this polynomial. We're going to subtract 1x squared. So I'm going to take it away. And I'm going to move it off my area here. And then I'm going to subtract a 4x. So I'm going to get rid of 4 of these x's. So I'm going to take off 4 of them. Okay? And then I'm also going to subtract 6 of the smaller tiles. 4, 5, 6 of them. Okay, so I'm going to take off 2, 4, 6 of them. And so what I'm left with here is 2x squared, 1x, and 3 of the single tiles. Okay, and so again, this is just combining like terms. Now, what could be confusing on these is this subtraction. If you forget that you're subtracting the whole polynomial, if you forget that you're subtracting the x squared, you're subtracting the 4x, and you're subtracting the 6, that's where you can get into some trouble here. So just be careful, keep that in mind, that this negative, this subtraction, is going to everything inside these parentheses. That's why sometimes in class we've talked about how sometimes it's nice to just remember that this is a -1 and maybe to distribute that so that you remember that this is in subtraction and this is now a subtraction. So if that helps you, feel free to do that. But this is, again, just combining like terms. And so our final answer here, we had 2x squared, 1x, and 3 single units. Okay, and so that's how we would work through that. Okay, and so it just might be a good idea for you to do this little section here at the bottom. Explain how you would explain this to a classmate who didn't understand it. You know, just write it out. Be thorough, and just think about how, if you didn't understand this, what would be helpful for you to share with another student, or to be told, so that it help you understand that. Okay, so that's adding and subtracting them. Now, we do have to do a few notes as far as just vocabulary and things. So I'm going to stop this video, we're going to start a new one, and we're going to define all of the terms that we're going to be using as we talk through polynomials, because there's a lot of vocabulary that goes with this that we need to be comfortable with. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started on that.